Okay, so for our third video, for our third reaction here, we have elemental sodium, so Na. I didn't give it a charge here because since it's all by itself as the element, it doesn't have a charge, it's not an ion yet. And then we have plus I2. And I drew this one a little bit differently because I2 is a covalent molecule, and so it's sharing its electrons in the middle, and we would draw a dot structure to most accurately represent that. So we have Na plus I2. So what's going on here? We need to identify whether or not we have elements, compounds, or both. So Na is pretty easy to identify as an element. And then what about I2? It's a molecule for sure. It almost looks like a compound, but both things in this molecule are the same. So we can actually classify that as an element. So if we have element plus element, the only choice for our type of reaction, element plus element, is going to be synthesis, or otherwise known as composition. Both of those refer to the same type of reaction. So synthesis and composition are the same. So if this is a composition reaction or a synthesis reaction, that means I have to put the things together. So what's going to happen on the other side? We're going to have an Na, which when it forms compounds, forms ionic compounds because it's a metal. So that means when it makes a compound, it's going to make the compound of NaI. We know from our periodic table that I is going to have a -1 charge. So then when we check our charges here on this side, on the product side, we have Na plus 1, we have I minus 1, so that's a good compound. So then on this side, I'm going to produce NaI. Now we have to balance the equation. So we have one green one on this side, one green one on this side. But here we have two red ones and only one red one here. So that means I need to add another I minus on the product side. But we know from our balancing equations lesson on the board that we can't just add a single atom like that if it's part of a compound. So we have to add a whole nother compound here. Okay, so that has fixed the iodine problem. Now I have two red ones and two red ones here, but now I have created another problem in that I have two green ones, and so I'm going to need two green ones on this side. And then you double check. Is everything balanced? Two green ones, two green ones, two red ones, two red ones. We're all good. We need to count the number of atoms or molecules we have. So here we have 2. So we're going to fill in a 2 for the Na. Here we just have one molecule of I2, so that becomes a 1. And then here we have 2 formula units of NaI. So that becomes a 2. So 2, 1, 2. So our equation is balanced. We predicted the products, and we know that this is a synthesis or a composition reaction.